Hello and welcome in to the Full 10 Yards Betting Podcast. We're on to week 5 of the NFL season, which already seems crazy to say. I'm Liam, your host, and as always, I'm joined by your favourite betting podcaster, as of course, Mr. Touchdown Tips, Adam Alford. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yeah, quiet week at work, so been looking forward to this one. Obviously, bye week start this week as well, so we've got a little bit of a tougher choice because obviously there's fewer games to choose from. But we got bye weeks and we got London week, so yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we have got the London game. I was going to say I don't need any tougher choices after going 1 for 4 again last week. So yeah, I need to avoid tough choices and get some winners this week. But if you take me out, we did quite well. We did okay. 5 out of 12 last week, and most of the failings were me. I feel like, without having counted the numbers, we're doing better on totals over the last couple of weeks than I thought we were, or maybe just last week. But yeah, you and Tim also got your Brian Robinson and your Chuba Hubbard touchdown scorers as well. So you two on the touchdown department are making some money last week. And I think that was your first score of the season, wasn't it? You got off the schneid.
Yeah, it's been a rough one for me so far, but yeah, Chuba doing against my Bengals, and then they took him out of the game for quite a while, which I didn't really understand. I don't know if he was carrying a knock, but they went Miles Sanders heavy for a couple of drives. So he could have got 2 or more, I'd imagine, but yeah, it's Panthers, who knows?
Yeah, well, I'm still on the schneid for touchdowns. I've started to just drift lower and lower into the odds, which we'll talk about for my selection later. But I've had Mike Evans. I've gone for Nico Collins. I've gone for Travis Kelce. I'm now trying to swap positions for later on when we get to that. But we'll stick to the same format we always do. So we'll go through game of the week, then we'll do our spreads, then we'll look at totals, and then we'll end with touchdown scorers. And we'll see if Adam's got any props. He sometimes has a random prop that we can win some money on, but his face tells me otherwise for this week. We'll start the game of the week, and we couldn't pick any other game apart from the London game, the New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know who the official home team is. I haven't checked. Is it a Vikings home game officially?
I can't remember if it's AFC or NFC this year. I think it's Vikings.
Yeah, it looks like it is Vikings. So 2:30 kickoff, so we can all start football a little bit earlier at the weekend. The game's on ITV as well, which worries me for commentary reasons. Anyone who listens to the main Full 10 Yards podcast or my podcast, the Go for 2 pod, knows I'm not a fan of the ITV coverage. But in terms of the spread, it's Vikings -2.5, which, to be honest, I was slightly surprised that it wasn't the full 3. And the total is 39.5. Are you looking forward to watching this game on Sunday, mate?
Yeah, obviously the Jets are going to have slightly better weather than they did last week, so I'm hopeful their offense will be able to do something. And the Vikings, obviously, are the surprise of the season, so it'll be good to see how they go against a very good defense. Obviously, Darnold has been smashing things, and Justin Jefferson's been carrying on forever. Obviously, scored every week, I think, this season, after getting one last week. Aaron Jones, obviously, is a very good running back, been doing really well. So I think the Vikings side of it look obviously a lot more solid, and obviously under Flores, the defense have been brilliant. And then the Jets side of it, they just need to figure stuff out. Obviously, I guess I'm trying to write off last week with the weather, but it was still an awful performance, and being able to obviously ending the game with a missed kick for either team was kind of summed up the whole of that game, really. And yeah, you shouldn't be losing to Denver Broncos.
No, I haven't fact checked this, but I swear I listened to a podcast that said Bo Nix finished with like 60 passing yards, and they still managed to win the game. I think that says a lot about how that game.
Yeah, he was -7 at halftime, I think.
And they still win.
Yards. Yeah, and then they won because I think Cortland Sutton had something like 60 receiving yards, and they finished on 57 as a team, something like that. Yeah, it was absurd.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. But yeah, the Jets do need to. And it's not a must-win game. The AFC is probably not as good as what people thought, and a few of the teams' records are a little bit worse. But they'll definitely want to put in a better performance than they did for that one. And you've got the nice revenge factor as well. Sam Darnold going against the team that drafted him. I know he said a lot of nice things about them in his press conference today or yesterday. But I'm sure he wants to come out and win this game. Let's get into best bets. None of us have picked the spread for this game. So do you have an opinion on that 2.5? Would you go with the favourite, or would you go Jets?
I guess you've got to lean the Vikings, really. Obviously, they're the form team coming in, and I think they are probably the better team. Obviously, I've documented it quite well on this podcast. I'm not a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers, so I definitely want the Vikings to win. But yeah, I stayed away from the spread just because it's a London game and they can be weird.
Yeah, they can be weird. Yeah, all international games can be a bit odd, I feel like, and they either go one or two ways. They start slow and they remain slow, or they just come out and everyone scores on every drive. It is a little bit all over the place. So yeah, if I had to pick, I'd probably go with you and go with the Vikings, but it would not surprise me if the Jets go up 10-0 and the game becomes a bit of a close one down the stretch. London games can be a bit weird. Let's go on to our best bets then. What's your selection? We'll start with you, mate.
You guys have gone a little bit more normal for this week. I've gone with Mike Williams' longest reception over 17.5 yards. Looks like he's clicking a bit now with Rodgers, and he does tend to get the deeper threats. Obviously, Garrett Wilson's going to have the better coverage. Always seems to. Brees Hall, if he can get going, it would really help them. But yeah, Mike Williams, 2 or 3 catches. He's probably going to have one over 20 yards. So yeah, over 17.5 I thought was quite low. And then normally for the deeper shot guys is normally over 20 nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he started to play more snaps now as well, coming off that injury that he had last season. So yeah, I could see Aaron Rodgers targeting him quite often down the field, to be honest, especially against this defense where he's going to get blitzed a lot by Flores compared to other coaches, other defensive coordinators that wouldn't dare to blitz Rodgers, but I think he'll get blitzed and have to kind of put it up or chuck it to his receivers on the outside. And yeah, I keep seeing a typical press conference kind of storyline of Garrett Wilson and him maybe not being quite as on the same page as people thought they would be, and that probably does your bet the good because he'll target Mike Williams and Alan Lazard more. So yeah, I think that's.
I probably should have looked at his stats for the season, but he had 1 for 19 against the Titans. He had an 18-yarder against the Patriots, and he had a 22-yarder against the Broncos. So last 3 weeks he's gone over 17.5.
Yeah, that's his specialty, isn't it? It's those kind of intermediate to deep shots. He's not a 10 catch guy. He's a 3 or 4 catch guy for 100 yards back when he was healthy.
Yeah,
so I like that bet. I've gone for a player prop as well. I don't know why I can't pick touchdown scorers, and I've decided to make 2 of my 4 bets touchdown scorers. That's a side note, but I've gone for Aaron Jones to score a touchdown, 5-4. It is evens in places. I think Virgin Bet had it at 5-4 this morning. So again, as always, make sure you're shopping around, especially for touchdowns. They can be all over the place. I'm not as good as I should be at shopping around, but Adam and Tim normally find good touchdown odds on some of these players. And I think, yeah, Aaron Jones, you don't want to be betting him at under evens on the day if people start betting him. But yeah, he's been really good this season. The offense is really good. They don't pass it as much as previous Vikings teams with Sam Darnold. He's done really well, but they don't expose him to, 30, 40 passes a game sometimes. So yeah, Aaron Jones gets a lot of workload in the pass game as well. This is just anytime touchdown, so it doesn't matter if he catches a screen and runs it in. But yeah, he looks really good. He hasn't been hit with the 3 or 4 week Aaron Jones injury yet. So whilst he's still on the field, I think he's a good shout to do it. I was going to go Jefferson, and I thought I can't have 2 extremely low odds for touchdowns, which we'll get onto my other one. So I went with Aaron Jones, I think.
And you'd imagine Jefferson's going to get Sauce Gardner as well. So he's one I kind of want to stay away from. I was tempted with his under because he's, I think, 81.5 yards. But he's the type of player who can probably get that even against one of the best in the league. So yeah, I stayed away from that. But yeah, I think I definitely prefer Aaron Jones over Jefferson.
Yeah, they've ran the ball pretty well all season, and the Jets haven't stopped the run as well. They did okay against the Broncos, but I don't know if that was a weather thing, and they knew they were going to run it a lot. But the 3 weeks before that, they weren't great against the run. So I do think Aaron Jones will have quite a good day. And then I'll put our bets up on the screen as I talk about Tim's bets. For his bet, he's gone for the under. So he's gone for the under 40.5 in the game. Again, I think this is now 39.5 in some places. So if you do like the under, make sure you do find it into the 40s. I personally wouldn't go total just because of a London game. But I assume the logic that he's going with, these are 2 good defenses. Brian Flores is very aggressive for the Vikings. And from a Jets perspective, since week 1, their defense seems to have gotten a little bit better each week. So yeah, he's kind of thinking it'd be a lower scoring game. But the international part of it just worries me. Have you got any thoughts on Tim's selection?
No, as we said, they're both very good defenses, and you would expect it to be a lower scoring game. Obviously, it's a bit crappy for the people going to it. But yeah, I think that is the right side of it. I definitely wouldn't be going the other side of it. So yeah, can't argue with him on that one.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, to summarise, we've got under 40.5 if you can get it. We've got an Aaron Jones anytime from myself, and then Adam's gone with Mike Williams, long reception of over 17.5 yards. Cool. Let's move on from the London game then and get into our spreads. Anyone watching there on the ticker going along the bottom on YouTube? Why don't you kick us off on this one, mate? What spread do you prefer this week? And did you find it hard to find spreads? Because there's some closer ones this week than there has been in previous weeks.
Yeah, it's not great. I went 1 for 5 on my contest last week on spreads, so I think I've been finding them pretty tough over the last couple of weeks anyway. Although I did go Browns last week, and if it wasn't for a fairly dodgy holding call, they would have won that game against the Raiders. But it is what it is. This week I have gone for the Seahawks -6.5. They're at home to the Giants. The thing that worries me against this one immediately is the rest discrepancy. The Giants coming off Thursday night last week, the Seahawks coming off Monday night, but Seahawks are at home, which obviously helps. And the main handicap on this one is I don't think Malik Neighbors is going to be playing this week, so that kind of ruins the Giants' whole offense. And if he isn't going, and it's confirmed, I think this will go over 7. I think it'll probably tick up 7.5. So yeah, I thought I'd recommend this one while I could. The Seahawks obviously have been pretty good on the whole. Got destroyed by the Lions this week on Monday, but overall they have been very good. They've been good on offense. Their defense has been good. It was a bit banged up this week, which could explain the fall off. But yeah, they're going up against the Giants team, which is not very good. And if they don't have Neighbors, who is second in betting for Offensive Rookie of the Year, then I don't see how they're going to be able to move the ball really. So yeah, I thought Seahawks under a touchdown, I was happy with.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that one. I think they're actually going back to the rest disadvantage. They're taking that into account with the line because I think it should be 7.5. I think to be honest, get over that touchdown. So yeah, I really like 6.5. It was maybe not quite my next best, but it was in my 3 or 4 that I was considering. I think Seattle just a much better team. Like you said, defense was banged up last week. They're getting 2 of those guys back. It looks like not one of them, but they're getting a couple of the guys back. If Neighbors is out, then yeah, the offense they're going against is nowhere near the power of the Lions. And Geno Smith's playing really well. The offense was really good against the Lions, like really, really good. It was just they had to almost play perfect to keep up at times, and had a couple of 4th downs that didn't quite go as they wanted. But yeah, I think this is a really good shout. What line do you think it'll be if he gets confirmed out for Neighbors? Because I think for me it definitely goes through the 7. But how high do you reckon it gets?
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, wide receivers aren't generally worth more than a point, and is Neighbors worth more than a point after 5 games? Maybe. So I think he'll probably 7.5, leaning towards the 8, because obviously once you're over the 7, everything between 7 and 9 isn't really that. I mean, I suppose now with 2 points is a little bit different. So maybe it'll tick to 8 and give them a little bit of more safety. But yeah, I think it'll definitely go through the 7.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they're probably a candidate as well to put in teasers down if you are someone that likes to put 2 or 3 legs down. But yeah, I think that's a really, really good shout. In terms of Tim's pick, I've just realised I didn't write down who the Ravens. Oh, actually, I know who the Ravens are playing because you're here. It's the Ravens Bengals, and Tim's pick. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's trolling you. He's gone for the Ravens -2.5. So I guess I should ask your opinion on why you think he's picked Ravens -2.5 against your team.
Obviously, he's trolling me. The Ravens obviously got back on track last week. They looked very good, and the Bengals' run defense is terrible. So you're going up with Derrick Henry, who had 200 yards last week, 199 last week, going up against an incredibly bad run defense. Although Bengals should be getting back a few defensive linemen, which will help. For me, I prefer the over on this one. Obviously, we're not onto that yet, but I prefer the overs to the spread. I think the Ravens being favourites in Cincinnati, I think that's a little harsh, given the fact that neither team's really been great this year. But the Bengals also can never win in division, so I'm definitely not begrudging him taking this pick. And yeah, the run defense of the Bengals versus Derrick Henry is where it's going to be won and lost. And then on the other side of things, the Ravens are bottom 10 in the league against wide receivers and against quarterbacks. So it's probably going to be a pretty high scoring game, and it'll be whoever gets 1 or 2 stops probably.
Yeah, it depends which Ravens defense turns up, because first 3 weeks you'll probably score 35 points. If the team that plays Buffalo turns up, then
Yeah.
it might be a little bit harder going. But I feel like they're always a little bit like that. Take last year out of it because their defense was, incredible. But I always feel like that. You could watch a game and you're like, okay, right, this is going to have to be a 38-35 win for them to win this game. And then next week they'll beat someone 20-3. That just seems like the Ravens I've watched for the last 6 or 7 years. But yeah, this should be quite a good game. I was kind of going into it thinking whoever loses might be out of the playoff race, and then the Ravens decide to go and smash the Bills, which means the game's not quite as important for them.
Yeah,
it probably is for you guys, maybe that important, to be honest.
Yeah, getting back to 2 wins in that division, it'll be 2-2 with the Ravens, and then possibly 3-2 for the Steelers if they lose their game against the Cowboys, which is quite possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can get it back to 2-2, then you're only a game behind. You're ahead of the Browns, who probably won't win again. So yeah, it is essential basically for the Bengals. If going another game behind and a divisional game would be really hamper them getting anywhere this season, frankly.
Yeah, I assume this is the Sky game, although I haven't checked.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought it was between this one and the one you're going to talk about. They're both kind of the top 2 games of the week, frankly.
yeah, I thought they might go with the game I'm going to talk about, but I think that's still a good shout. It just means you've got to listen to Jason Bell for 3 hours. So
yeah,
good luck with
that. Don't think we win on that one.
No, I don't think so. Cool. Onto my game then. I have gone for the other game, the Bills Texans game. It is in Houston. And the Bills are favored on the road, similar to the Ravens being favored on the road. And I've gone for Bills -1.5. They didn't play well against the Ravens. This doesn't strengthen my my argument, but I've been much more impressed with them throughout the season than I have Houston. I think the offense for the Bills has looked really good. Last week they just got down so quick and so early that they were kind of throwing it non-stop. They got away from the run game that we spoke about in the off-season as being one of their best weapons. And the game just kind of got out of hand a little bit. But I think in this game against the Texans, Josh Allen will play better than he probably did last week. And I'm not 100% sure the Texans offense, how they'll look against this Bills team. I know week 1 they ran the ball well, but since week 1 they've been injured. I don't know Joe Mixon's health status, but I think week 1 against the Colts just seems a bit of aberration now when it comes to their rushing attack. It looks a lot like last year to me, that when Stroud drops back, it looks good, but on first and second down when they're trying to run it, it doesn't look as good. So yeah, I think the Bills will win the game. It should be fun. Someone's got this in a total, so I won't speak about the total too much, but I do think this will be an exciting game, and I just think the Bills are too good. Any thoughts on the spread in that one? Obviously, 2 AFC rivals as well for you, but I know you like the Texans.
Like Mixon and Pierce, neither of them were training today. Again, Tank Dell was there, so that's a bit of a boost in the passing game there.
Cam Akers lives on for my fantasy team.
For his 4 points a week or whatever he's been getting, he's not been doing well, has he? No, I mean if it forces the Texans to throw the ball, then that's probably a benefit to them, especially if Tank Dell can get back. I wouldn't be touching the Bills. I've obviously said, I think I said last week that I don't like the Bills against any half decent team. I think they beat up on terrible teams, and then I think they struggle a bit against good teams, and that kind of proved out. Obviously, the Ravens are different to the Texans. I do think the Ravens are a better team, but I definitely can't have them as road favourites personally. So I was a firm stay away on that one for this. I think I agree with you. The Texans haven't looked great this year. Obviously did get the win against the Jags last week, which they maybe didn't deserve. Probably needed 1 score more for the Jags, and that would have been it. But they got it done in the end, and that was all that mattered. So I think there's life in them. I mean, I guess I think the Bills are the better team, but it's just I don't trust them in big games.
Yeah, but if I go back to back and the Bills lose again, then I'm not going to be doing the short price favourite Bills again. It just has to be a write off for the season. But I still think how Josh has played for the season that they can win this game. And it is a Stephon Diggs revenge game, but I don't know whose revenge is against who. Is it against Josh Allen against him for just constantly berating him on the sidelines, or is it Diggs' revenge game for trading him away? We'll find out. But yeah,
he gave up on the Bills, didn't he? So it's the Bills' revenge game on him, I guess.
Yeah, I expect a lot of Stephon Diggs sideline shots from the cameramen when we're watching this game. Cool. Any other spreads that you took an interest in? Like I said, there's definitely some shorter spreads this week. There's a lot of 1.5s, 2.5s.
No, tempted with the Cowboys getting points at the Steelers, but obviously Steelers defense has been very, very good in general, apart from apparently against Joe Flacco. The Cardinals +7. I thought that was a fairly generous line. They've obviously been quite feisty, but then got destroyed by the Commanders last week. So again, it's a bounce back game like the Bills is. And yeah, that was about it. I don't know what to do with the Colts because obviously there's a lot of injury news there. It's Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. We need to know what's going on with them. So yeah, there was only a couple of others I kind of lent towards, but yeah, it was a tough one, like you say.
Yeah, it was the Steelers Cowboys one for me. I cannot believe that the Cowboys aren't favored in that game, but I also backed them too many times on this pod. When I look back at last year's sheet, I don't know if it was just to annoy Tim or not. I kept picking them to cover the spread, and every time I picked them, they seem to only win by like 2 or 3 points, and I'd pick them -6 or 7. So but I still think if you want to put that in the accumulator, I think that's a good bet. I'm still not as into the Steelers as others, even though I do like Justin Fields. Cool. On to totals then. I don't mind going first since we are talking about that game. I've gone for the Steelers Cowboys under 44.5. I know the Cowboys have got injuries on defense, but I'm not sure the Steelers offense is built to score loads of points. Steelers defense is still very good, and I'm not sure the Cowboys offensive line is built to stop TJ Watt. So I just think this could be into the late 30s, maybe get to 40, something like that. But I think it could be one of those really close games where we see some long drives, and we probably see quite a lot of punts as well. So yeah, I've gone for the under 44.5 in that game. Any thoughts from you on that line?
Yeah, obviously Steelers games have been in the 30s the last couple of weeks, and they put up. Fields obviously did a little bit last week, and they did concede a bit. But yeah, I'd definitely be leaning the unders on that one, as you say. I don't think Brandon Cooks is healthy either, so that's another hit
he's
for the
out.
Cowboys offense. So yeah, it's another hit for them. They can't get a run game going, and yeah, as you say, I think they'll struggle to stop TJ Watt because he is best in the league at the moment. So yeah, definitely with you on the unders on this one.
Cool. Another game we spoke about. What's the line you've gone for?
Yeah, I've gone with Bills Texans over 47.5. Basically, what we're saying, I don't particularly rate either defense. I know the Bills have been fairly all right this year. And maybe it's just that they're not great against the run, and facing Derrick Henry, you can't really blame them. Whereas obviously the Texans don't really have a run game at the moment, but they do have a very good passing game and they do have a decent QB. So I think there's going to be points on both sides. I know it's a high total, but I think some kind of 30-20 either way, 30-23 kind of game. The Bills obviously will be looking to bounce back. So yeah, I just think there'll be a lot of points. Frankly, I don't know. I actually got my total. Well, I got my total wrong last week, so I went for the Steelers under. But on my page, the two high scoring games I thought there'd be was the Cardinals and the Bengals, and they both had quite a lot of points last week. So I was tempted to go for Bengals Ravens, but it's 49. Again, I think there's a decent chance that happens. I think it might be nearer 60, but it's a high line, and I didn't want to go that high again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I prefer this one as well, over 47.5. We saw last week that Bills defense has played really well through 3 weeks. That's quite banged up. They looked a little bit back to maybe how people thought they were going to look before the season. I'm not saying they'll look that bad against Texans, but I think Texans will score some points in the air. Nico Collins will probably have quite a nice day, I'd imagine, in this game.
He does every week.
Yeah, the week I don't pick him to score a touchdown, he will score a touchdown. That is a guarantee. But yeah, I like that over. I think it will be a very good game. Played in the Dome as well, obviously, so inside, which helps.
Yeah.
Cool. In terms of totals, Tim might be trolling both of us with a Ravens and an under pick in the game that I have to watch. So he's gone for the Chiefs Saints game, Monday Night Football, under 43.5. I guess the logic would be maybe Derek Carr's terrible and the Chiefs wide receivers are all in hospital injured at the moment, probably. So yeah, I can't disagree with it. It just feels like every time Derek Carr plays the Chiefs, it's a high scoring game though. He weirdly plays really well against the Chiefs and scores like 27 points and somehow finds a way to lose with a terrible interception at the end. But yeah, if I'm him, I think the odds make sense. It actually was 44.5 and it's been bet down to 43.5 as well. So I think money will probably keep coming on the under for this one. So yeah, if you do like the under, I would say bet it now before it gets to Sunday and Monday and people are chasing. Because I just think they'll hear Rashee Rice out and they'll, see Derek Carr and the Saints and think, oh, that game will probably be under. But yeah, I wouldn't bet it for me because I just think it's weird when Derek Carr plays in Arrowhead. And Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy looked good last week. But yeah, I can see why Tim's picked the under.
Yeah, the Chiefs, like last year, they are an under team now, and they rely on their defense a lot more than they ever did a couple of years back. So yeah, I definitely can't argue with him taking the under on that one. And the Saints lost Derek McCoy the other week, and he missed obviously last week, but it does hurt their offense a bit. And they did all right against the Falcons. They put up points still, and probably should have won the game. But yeah, I do think that the under's probably the side I would lean on that one.
Yeah, cool. Any other lines you liked? I actually recording this on Thursday this time, and I actually quite like the over in the Falcons Bucks game. I didn't pick it again because Thursdays are also a bit weird, like the London games. But Bucks play well on offense. I think Kirk's starting to look healthier and healthier each week. And NFC South games are one or two things. They're like 10-7, it feels like, or they're like 42-39. So I just think there'll be more points than 43.5. I thought the line was a couple of points too low for that one, to be honest.
That is lower than I thought it'd be. I've not put it on the ticker because it's the Thursday night game. But yeah, I thought it was going to be 45, 46 at least. So yeah, that is definitely a bit lower than I thought. As you say, like, will Kyle Pitts do something? I'd imagine he's going to have a good game because it seems to be the week that everyone's giving up on him. So yeah, I think it seems like it's one of those that he'll end up with something good last tonight.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I've lost all faith as someone who banged on about him in the draft.
Right, everyone's in that position at the moment. I think many fantasy leagues that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't own him in a fantasy draft, a fantasy league, just because I didn't have a pick that year near that place. But I've tried to trade for him a few times and swiftly withdrawn those trades in the last couple of weeks. Any other totals that you liked on the board?
No, obviously I mentioned the Ravens Bengals. I do think that's got a very good chance of going over. And Cardinals 49ers should be a fun one, but again, it's the highest total on the board, so I didn't want to go near that. We could have the Cardinals doing what they did last week and doing nothing after the first quarter, which seems to be fair, what they've done all season. They seem to know how to throw to Marvin Harrison, in the first quarter, and then don't bother for the rest of the game. So it could be anything, that one. And Packers Rams as well. The NFC obviously is place for points by the look of it. So it's some quite exciting looking games, but none that I want to go near the totals. It's kind of watch them and they'll be fun. Look for touchdown scorers, basically.
Yeah, I looked at the Rams, but I've just picked them between the preseason bets, real life bets, and this podcast just picked too many Rams bets. But it did look.
They have hurt us recently.
Yeah, it did look good to go for the over, but yeah, I'll see if it gets down to 47, 46, but I doubt it. People seem to always bet the Rams and Packers to those two teams to go over. But there's a 35.5 for Broncos Raiders at the moment on Sky. I think Patriots Dolphins is fluctuating 35 to 36.5, depending where you look at it. I do always look at those low totals and get interested, but not as much after watching the Dolphins on Monday.
I think you can't.
I do think if Devontae Adams was playing, I would go over 35.5 for the Raiders, but the line probably wouldn't be 35.5 if he's playing. It'd probably be 36, 37.5. Right. That would appeal to me slightly, but that might be some AFC West kind of just nightmare fuel there for me to watch that game and go over. But 35 and 36.5 for two games where the weather report is normal is quite funny for an NFL Sunday.
Yeah, Dolphins Patriots could be It'd be so bad. I mean, we thought Titans Dolphins would be bad, but obviously the Titans had fun with it. But yeah, Dolphins Pats could be 20 points at most. It could be another 10-9 kind of AFC thing.
Yeah, if we see a Drake May sighting after the first quarter, then maybe an in-play over could be a bet for people that are complete sickos. But there we go. We'll see. Onto touchdown scorers then. I don't even know if I should even give a pick for this one, so I'll go last. And we'll start with Tim's selection. He's gone for DJ Moore, 15-8, which I was slightly surprised that his odds were 15-8. Against the Panthers. Panthers defense, not great. Well, really bad, especially against wide receivers this year. And in the red zone, DJ Moore got more targets, last week than he had the couple of weeks prior. But yeah, be a stay away from me. I don't love the Bears offense right now. I think you're similar, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm glad you gave some kind of positivity to that one, because I looked at it and I couldn't think of any reason why you would go for DJ Moore. I'm trying to get rid of all Bears defensive players in my fantasy league. Yeah, I don't rate Caleb Williams. I think he's been terrible so far, but the Panthers obviously can't generate that much pressure, so that'll help. I'm not going anywhere near any Bears players, frankly.
Yeah, especially I think Keenan Allen's back as well, so there's a chance he could steal a red zone target if they get there. But yeah, Tim's not here to defend himself, so we can slate those picks if we need to. Who have you picked for your touchdown score? You got some good odds on yours.
I had to go for a Packers player. I had to go for a Packers wide receiver because the Rams have got an awful passing defense. When Tre'Davious White is your supposed star, and then it's not a potential. It's not a very good way of stopping anyone. So yeah, I went for the best price out of the three with Christian Watson injured. I've gone on saving Wicks. He's 21-10. I think Reed was down around evens, and in fairness, Dobbs wasn't that far off, but Dobbs seems to get bits in between, but not red zone, whereas Wicks seems to get himself open and has been scoring a little bit this season. So yeah, I went with, as I say, I wanted a Packers wide receiver, and he was the best price out of the three of them. So over 2-1, I'll go for that.
Yeah, if there's, apart from maybe Aaron Rodgers, I'm trying to think. There's definitely another name I'm forgetting you dislike, but Tre'Davious White is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of players that you dislike.
Yeah, and has been for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, even when he was good, in most people's opinions, you were always the staunch person saying nope, he's terrible, and now he's getting cooked every week. So this is a good season for you.
He really is.
So yeah, I like that. Wicks plays a lot of snaps as well, so he's on the field a lot, which helps. And I think Jordan Love should look better than he did last week. I know he came on a little bit in the fourth quarter, but yeah, he didn't look healthy early on in the game. But yeah, another week of practice, another week of recovery. Yeah, they should be better. And if it's a way to also go with the total a little bit there, if you think it's going to go over, but it's quite too high for you, you've got a touchdown scorer there.
Yeah, I was just looking at their fourth choice. Would probably be Bo Melton, who obviously came in and did quite well the other year. He's 15-2 on Bet365. So if you did want a longer shot, probably not the worst look. No,
that's not a bad shout. He gets involved as well on special teams of returns and stuff. So I know that's unlikely, but you get an extra way that he might be able to score. I've gone the opposite of the other two gentlemen on the pod that have gone for nice odds. I need a win on the board. So when you need a win on the board, you probably put the Costanza on Derrick Henry, but I've gone for Derrick Henry at 4-7, which is not great odds. So maybe put it with something else. Don't put it with DJ Moore, but put it with something else. Bengals rush defense is pretty poor. I know Adam mentioned earlier about getting a defensive lineman back or two, but still don't think, that's what they're built for. He looked really good last week. He definitely got a bit more of a handle on the offense. They ran from slightly different formations last week as well, which suit Derrick Henry a little bit more, kind of what he did at Tennessee. And then you've got Lamar Jackson there as well to be another factor to maybe get people not looking in the backfield as much at Derrick Henry. But yeah, it's probably the worst time to bet this for me because he's coming off his best game and his odds are way worse than they were last week. But he did look really, really impressive. And I just think against this rush defense, I think he'll have a good chance to score. I haven't checked his odds for 2. They're obviously going to be awful. But if you fancy him for 1, I wouldn't be against just betting him for 2. I'm not going to write that down on our sheet and have to classify that as the best bet. But yeah, he's 5-2, which is hilarious for a brace. But yeah, I've gone for Derrick Henry, and if I don't win after this one, I'm going back to obscure tight ends with good odds and just forgetting that bet every week. That's my plan.
Okay.
Any other odds you like? I'm just gonna have a look at what Stephon Diggs is to score a touchdown against his old team, because that feels like it could happen. He's 11-8 on Sky Bet, but again, shop around. I don't hate that. I also don't hate Josh Allen at evens in a game against Stephon Diggs. What about you? Any other, whether it's that game or another game you fancy a touchdown
in? Wasn't much out there, to be honest. I'll be honest. I tend to do the 4 that we need, and then I'll get through the rest on Saturdays plus Sundays. So yeah, it was Jordan Addison 11-4. He obviously got a couple last week. Don't mind that too much in the London game. I will be doing a preview for the London game as a separate one, because obviously it's a bit of fun. Are you going to any of them this year? I can't remember if we are.
No, I'm not planning on it. But I did. Someone at work does have a spare ticket because our head office is in London, so a lot of people live quite local. They've got a spare ticket to the game, but I'm not sure I can get there. But yeah, I haven't got any plans. What about you? Are you venturing down?
No, I've well, I can't afford, and B, the games just aren't exactly enticing this year. But I mean, ironically, this is probably the best one. Yeah. And yeah, I was looking at Bears Jags, because then you get obviously Trevor Lawrence against the one pick this year, but the way those two teams have been playing, I'm kind of glad I saved my money on that one. And the tickets are just too expensive now. They're looking at 100 quid if each, and then with train and booze, it's going to end up at 250 quid weekend for me, and not justifiable, frankly. So now, not going for anything this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I will watch the game Sunday. I hope I'll be watching it on DAZN, but there might be a blackout, and I'll be forced onto to ITV.
I think you're probably all right. I think we'll get blackout on Sunderland, but yeah, I will definitely give that a go. And
yeah, same.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of ITV, but yeah, we'll see. Should be a good game though. Like I said, it is the best one. So yeah,
yeah.
Cool. Any other touchdown scorers? I was trying to find one in my team's game. I would definitely bet Travis Kelce again if it is 2-1. But yeah, or check out the odds on the running backs. They gave P. Ryan the goal line carry last week after Kareem Hunt literally drove the ball down the field. So I think, yeah, Kareem Hunt's probably a good bet, but I'm just worried the odds might be terrible. But they're not out yet for the Chiefs game.
Should have, is Clyde back this one as well, or is he just back in training?
He might be back, but I'm just, he shouldn't play. He's not very good. So, but yeah, he's going to train this week, but I don't know if he'll play on Monday night. But yeah, Kareem Hunt will be the workload back, I'd imagine. So, see what odds he's on, see if the bookies have adjusted or if they've not. But yeah, Travis Kelce, if he is anywhere near 2-1 again, without Rashee Rice for a whole game, they already game planned him a lot of targets last week. Now again, without Rice in the red zone, I'm sure Kelce will get a lot of targets. But yeah, that was the only other one when I looked around, apart from Diggs, that I thought was a good shout.
Guess what price Tyreek Hill is for the Dolphins?
I assume he's high because of the total. 2-1?
Yeah, near enough. 19-10 for Tyreek Hill just seems absurd. Obviously, it's still not worth the bet, but
I think I'd do that on a jet sweep, maybe.
Yeah.
His last game before he returns back to Kansas City in a blockbuster trade or something like that. But yeah, I think that's not terrible odds. But again, how many times are they going to get close to the red zone? That's the worry.
Exactly. It's messy. Antonio Gibson 3-1. Obviously, talk this week of I think it's more coach talk, trying to put a bit of pressure on Stevenson rather than them considering a change. But he has played well. He got a few receptions in the garbage time last week. Devon A-Chain wasn't at training today, so might be worth a look at Raheem Mostert 16-5 for him. He's obviously missed the season so far, apart from game 1 when I bet on him. And Odell's back in training as well, coming off pup as well. So they might have a little bit more going on offense apart from the quarterback, which obviously is a bit of a killer.
Yeah, it's the most important part of that element. But
I'll probably
yeah, I will bet Odell Beckham at some point this season. That's a given. Anyone who listens knows I'm obsessed with him. So yeah, I'm sure I'll bet him at some point, but maybe not first week coming off pup. It won't be my pick.
So, yeah, if you find someone in that game who does score, you're going to get a bit of money for it at least.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, as long as it's not Ramondre Stevenson, who's still, I think his touchdown odds are still short, aren't they?
Yeah, 65 seems.
Yeah. They
not
lose him
not
at that's their red zone weapon, though. All they do is run him literally up the middle for 3 times normally in the red zone. So yeah. But that's just a game to avoid, I think, when the totals that low, unless you do fancy Tyreek Hill. Cool. Any props or anything, or again, you haven't had a chance to look yet?
No, I had a look around. Yeah, no, I got nothing. I'd probably look at T. Higgins overs. As I say, the Ravens' passing defense hasn't been great this year, and we know they're going to try and stop Chase. So a lot of the ball has been going to T since he came back. But I don't know what I'm guessing he's going to be 62.5, I reckon. But no, yeah, I haven't looked at anything, to be honest.
No Justice Hill for the hat trick after he got 70 odd yards when you bet him on for 13.5.
I mean, yeah, he did. He go ridiculous, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
What have we got? Oh, we haven't got Justice Hill receiving yards yet, so I couldn't even if I wanted. T. Higgins only 51.5, so yeah, I think that's a pretty low line for T. So
they have got Justice Hill at a couple of places, 20.5. They've upped it by three full yards.
Yeah.
Still fancy it?
I mean, I'd probably head towards receptions then if he's up around that. And I'd imagine he's going to be 3.5 receptions, so I'd probably go for over 3.5 instead of over 20.5.
Yeah, we'll see if you can find a way to win money on Justice Hill every week for the season. That's the goal of this.
That's my mission for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but after shouting out Jamar Chase receptions over yards, and then he has like one catch for like 70 yards, that made me look a bit stupid. So there's no Jamar Chase bets coming from me this week, I'm afraid. What's Derrick Henry's line? So his rushing receiving is 95.5, which I'd be tempted.
Quite low. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking he'd be 84.5 for just rushing. Yeah, I would have thought he'd be over 100 for both, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he's down at 95.5.
Yeah, just chuck it in with my great odd touchdown scorer, everyone, and you'll be fine with your multiples. So there we go. Right, cool. That's it for us. We've gone over the 40-minute mark. No more bets for us to discuss. In terms of best bets, I'll put them on the screen. So in terms of spread, Tim's gone for Baltimore -2.5. You can actually get 1.5 in places now. I've gone for Bills -1. Adam's gone for the Seahawks -6.5, and we think you probably need to bet that ASAP before Neighbours is confirmed as out. The totals, Tim's gone the under 43 in the KC Saints game. I've gone for under 44 in the Steelers-Cowboys game. And then Adam's gone for over 47.5 in the Texans versus the Bills game. And then for touchdown scorers, we've got 2 with good odds. So Tim's gone for DJ Moore 15-8, and Adam's gone for Dontavian Wicks at 21-10. And I've gone for the big king, Derrick Henry, 4-7 to score against Adam's Bengals, because me and Tim are just trolling him at this point. So that's our best bets for this week. Enjoy the weekend, mate. Enjoy your getting an extra game in the morning. And everyone listening, remember to go follow us at Full 10 Yards on Twitter/X. Go follow Adam as well at Touchdown Tips, where you can see more of his selections. We'll be back for week 6 next week, and hopefully I've actually got a touchdown scorer. So thanks for listening. Please remember to gamble responsibly, and we will speak to you all soon.